Action games are at their best when they keep your heart racing and your fingers glued to the controller. Some games just don't slow down, they don't hold your hand, and they definitely don't give you a break. Today we're talking about 15 action games that never let you relax and keep the adrenaline pumping from start to finish. Let's start this list with God of War 3. In 2026, it feels a little crazy that God of War 3 is already more than 15 years old, but even today when I play it again, the game still feels strong and exciting. This was the big ending to Kratos' original revenge story, and it still stands as one of the best action games ever made. Santa Monica didn't try to change everything just to be different. The main gameplay is the classic God of War style, but it's smoother and more polished than before. Even now, the combat feels fast and satisfying, not old at all. The sense of scale is still amazing. You fight on titans as big as mountains, climb creatures larger than whole levels, and the camera always shows how small Kratos is compared to the gods he's fighting. And yes, the game is very violent even by today's standards. There's blood, gore, torn limbs, and some really brutal finishing moves. But it fits the world. Greek mythology was cruel and savage, and Kratos is not a hero, he's a storm of pure anger. The violence feels like part of the story, not just there to shock players. Some fights are designed in really creative ways, not just like normal battles, and they fit the story perfectly. The one-on-one fight with Hades is easily one of the best moments in the whole series. Even after you finish the game, there's still plenty to enjoy. You get behind-the-scenes videos, tough challenges, and a fun arena mode. All this bonus content is amazing and really shows how much love and effort the creators put into the game. Next we have Uncharted 2. Uncharted Drake's Fortune was the game that truly showed what the PlayStation 3 could do. Back in 2007, Naughty Dog introduced Nathan Drake, an adventurer who felt like a modern Indiana Jones. The game came with beautiful graphics, a thrilling story, clever puzzles, and intense gunfights. Even in 2026, it still looks great and remains one of the best games of that era. Then Uncharted 2 Among Thieves arrived and Naughty Dog somehow made everything even better. The gameplay stays close to the first game. You fight enemies, climb through huge environments, and solve puzzles along the way. But this time, everything blends together more naturally. Combat areas are more creative with different levels and paths to use. Players can rush in shooting, climb to higher ground, or sneak around quietly. Enemy AI is still smart just like in the first game. Enemies use cover well and react in clever ways. The companion AI is even better. Nate usually travels with a partner and they actually help during fights instead of causing problems. They take cover, shoot properly, and feel like real teammates. If you haven't played this masterpiece, I highly recommend it. The only downside is it's still a PlayStation exclusive, so many people miss out. It improves almost everything from the first game and adds even more amazing moments. It's not perfect, but it comes very close and is still one of the best games ever on the system. Next up is Hi-Fi Rush. I never thought Tango Gameworks, the studio behind dark games like The Evil Within and Ghostwire Tokyo, would make a bright, fun action game that feels like a cartoon. But that's exactly what Hi-Fi Rush is. Its world, characters, and art style are full of energy and personality. The main character Chai attacks on the beat automatically, but staying in rhythm with the music gives extra damage. Combat feels like a mix of Devil May Cry and Bayonetta, with music guiding your moves. You can dodge, parry, and chain combos in time with the beat, and it never feels overwhelming. Enemies follow the same musical rules. Knowing the rhythm helps you dodge attacks and approach battles like a dance. Some bosses even become rhythm-based mini-games which feel incredibly satisfying to pull off. The combat keeps you on your toes, and perfecting combos feels amazing. After the story, you can try the Rhythm Tower for tougher challenges, replay levels, or collect songs for the jukebox. The game keeps giving reasons to stay in its vibrant, music-driven world. Hi-Fi Rush feels like a top-tier cartoon series. Its animation, characters, humor, and story are all incredible. The rhythm-driven combat makes it stand out from any other action game. It's fun, stylish, and full of charm. A game that truly marches to the beat of its own drum. Next we have Control. I really wish Remedy would make even more games. Control reminded me why the studio is so good at creating strange and fascinating worlds that feel alive. Playing as Jessie Faden with her blue wavy spirit buddy, I quickly got hooked. At first, the Federal Bureau of Control's headquarters looks like a boring office building, and Jessie's search for answers about her past seems normal too. but Control quickly shows you there's much more going on. Growing up loving X-Men, I always wanted psychic powers. Control gives me that feeling. Jessie's powers are fun and flexible, keeping the 10-hour story exciting. Her telekinesis is the best. Lifting crates, tables, or chunks of concrete and hurling them at enemies is so satisfying. It's not exactly like Kratos' Leviathan axe, but throwing heavy objects with your mind comes close. Jessie has even more powers that make gameplay exciting. Hovering gives more mobility, and the shield helps when enemies push back with telekinesis. Combat makes you move, use cover, and balance offense and defense. Getting too cocky in close combat usually ends badly, but mixing attacks with Jessie's service weapon works perfectly. The service weapon can change into a revolver, a sniper-like gun, or a shotgun-style weapon. Control is a strange, fascinating world I couldn't stop exploring. Jessie's psychic powers and versatile service weapon make combat thrilling. With a strong supporting cast, clever writing, and plenty of secrets, I loved my time in the oldest house. Jessie's personal story feels a bit secondary, but the world itself is enough to keep me coming back. In Greek mythology, Sisyphus is cursed to push a boulder uphill forever. Every time he gets it to the top, it rolls back down and he has to start again. Now imagine if that endless climb was actually an epic fight. You're battling all kinds of enemies in hell using godly powers that grow and combine in cool ways. And instead of starting completely over every time, you get a little stronger with help from allies and even enemies who remember what you did. The gameplay is addictive in the best way. Some people get bored by the lack of variety in enemies or environments, but I never did. Every level has its own challenges. Even with God mode on, I still find myself struggling and being challenged in exciting ways. The game's design is clever. All the enemies teach you mechanics you'll face in boss fights later. It's seamless, smart, and never holds your hand. Fast-paced combat is a huge highlight. After almost 100 hours, my heart still races during later fights, especially the final boss. Visually, Hades is a true gem. Everything is gorgeous and so pleasing to the eye. The character designs are fantastic and you fall in love with them just from looking at them. The attention to detail, both big and small, is amazing. Combine that with the music, sound, and incredible voice acting, and you have a true audiovisual masterpiece. But what I love most is the story. Storytelling brings me real joy, and Hades delivers that in spades. The writers found a fresh way to tell stories from Greek mythology, making both well-known and lesser-known tales really exciting. It's a full package experience that hits every one of my favorite things and keeps me excited from start to finish. Honestly, I have nothing to complain about this game. Next, we have Vanquish. If you know Platinum Games, the studio behind it, you already know they love crazy, over-the-top action and stories that don't take themselves too seriously. Vanquish is exactly that. The story is pretty silly, but in a fun way, and the cheesy dialogue actually makes it more enjoyable. It feels like a big popcorn action movie though. Sometimes the cutscenes slow things down a little. The real star of the game is the gameplay. It was directed by Shinji Mikami, the same guy who made Resident Evil 4, so you know it's something special. Vanquish mixes classic shooting with super speed and slow motion. You can slide across the ground at insane speeds, then switch to slow motion while aiming, all while enemies are firing bullets everywhere. Jumping over cover, boosting forward, kicking a robot in the chest, and shooting its friends in mid-air feels amazing. The campaign is about 5 to 6 hours long, and even though most enemies are robots, the game keeps throwing new types at you to keep things interesting. On greater difficulty, every bullet is dangerous and you really have to think about how to fight. Overall, Vanquish is absolutely worth playing. If it doesn't click at first, try changing the way you play and being more aggressive. I've replayed this game many times on different difficulties, and it's always fun to come back to. It's one of those games you can pick up anytime and still have a great time. Next we have Bayonetta 2. The game looks better and plays smoother than the first Bayonetta, and honestly, better than most action games out there. And it just keeps getting better. Bayonetta moves with style and confidence, fighting her way through a fantastic 10-hour story filled with huge set pieces, crazy angels, and scary demons. The best part is still the combat. Punches, kicks, and weapon attacks flow together perfectly, making every fight feel really powerful. The game runs fast and fluid, and the animation makes every move look amazing. There are new weapons to unlock like the Rakshasa Blades and the Chernobog Scythe, and each one feels different with its own cool combos. You can mix them up to play the way you like. But the game never feels too easy. Even on normal difficulty, enemies are tough and smart. There are many different enemy types, from small flying creatures to massive bosses, and each one fights in its own way. Bosses look awesome and feel unique, so battles never get boring or repetitive. The story and humor aren't perfect. Some jokes feel childish and go on too long, but there are good moments too, especially the rivalry with the masked Lumen Sage. In the end, Bayonetta 2 feels polished and confident. The story can be silly, but the gameplay is so good that it doesn't matter. This sequel improves everything from the first game and stands as one of the most fun and satisfying action games I've ever played. Serious Sam 4 brings back the classic style of the old games, and that's no surprise. You fight endless waves of enemies, and there are so many different types. The game gives you a huge collection of guns too. You get pistols, shotguns, rifles, rocket launchers, miniguns, and even crazy stuff like a portable cannon that actually shoots cannonballs. Just like the old shooters, you can carry every weapon at the same time. If you want realism, this game is definitely not for you. I like the level design more than in Serious Sam 3. Even though the game is set on Earth again, the areas feel varied and very big. Each level is packed with hidden secrets to find, which makes exploring fun. I also enjoyed the characters who join you. They are likable, and their conversations feel like something straight out of an 80s action movie. The story is very simple. It's basically just shoot the evil aliens, but honestly, that's all the game needs. Serious Sam has never been about deep storytelling. If you want an emotional story or complex characters, you won't find that here. But if you want a fast, chaotic, old-school shooter that doesn't take itself seriously, you will have a great time. I've played every game in the series, and for me, Serious Sam 4 is a solid and worthy follow-up to the classics. Next we have Cuphead. I've been playing platform games since the early 90s, and even now in 2026, Cuphead is still one of my favorites in the entire genre. Years after release, it hasn't lost any of its magic. The art, the music, and the visuals still look incredible, and the gameplay holds up just as strongly as the day it came out. It's definitely not an easy game, but in 2026, I think most players agree it was always fair. Being able to retry bosses instantly keeps the frustration low and the motivation high. If you lose focus for a second, the game will punish you, but it never feels unfair. You learn the patterns, improve step by step, and that makes every victory feel earned. Even today, I still smile while playing just like I did the first time. Some bosses still make me struggle, but that challenge is part of the charm. It's amazing to see how Cuphead became such a legendary success and influenced so many indie games after it. For new players discovering it in 2026, don't worry about the too hard reputation. The game teaches you how to win, and beating a tough boss feels better than almost anything. Returnal is all about fast and crazy action. The screen fills with thousands of bullets, good effects, and non-stop movement. This is what Housemarque games are famous for, and Returnal delivers it perfectly. But this game is also their biggest and boldest project yet. It's a third-person shooter with deep exploration, a strong atmosphere like Dead Space or Metroid Prime, and battles that stay exciting even after many playthroughs. Each run takes a long time, but finishing one feels very rewarding. Returnal brings the bullet hell style of older Housemarque games into a third-person view, and it works beautifully. You can dash to avoid damage, dodge walls of bullets, and fight many different enemy types. Some enemies fire lasers, some surround you with projectiles, and others mix everything together. Even when the game reuses enemy models, their behavior changes enough to feel new and challenging. Learning how enemies move and attack is very important, because the game rewards careful play. There is an adrenaline system that gives you bonuses as long as you avoid getting hit. If you stay at full health, extra health pickups increase your total life bar. The game is hard, but smart decisions and good skills make a big difference. Even after finishing the main story, there is a lot more to do, like finding secret endings and hidden lore. Returnal offers hours of content for players who want to dig deeper. Overall, Returnal is an amazing game. The combat is intense, the weapons are creative, and the story is surprisingly strong. It stands as one of Housemarque's best games and one of the most unique roguelikes ever made. Next we have Sifu. Sifu is one of the hardest games I've ever played, almost as tough as Sekiro. But it also has one of the most fun and satisfying fighting systems I've seen. The game really lets you be creative in how you handle every fight, and it feels amazing when you finally beat a difficult part without dying. The game also does something very unique with its age system. Every time you die, your character gets older. I know some players felt annoyed about repeating the same levels again and again, but I actually like this idea. The early levels give you a lot of room to make mistakes, so even if you reach the end at 60 years old, you can still progress. But the game gently pushes you to return, practice, and improve instead of forcing you. The level design supports this perfectly. The first time you play a level, you explore everything and learn the layout. Later, you unlock shortcuts that let you move through the level faster and avoid unnecessary danger. Once you feel confident, you can replay the level fully, collect more rewards, and perform much better. The game feels very true to Kung Fu. You repeat the same moves over and over until they become perfect. The fighting moves are also incredibly cool. They are not meant to be realistic, but that's not the point. Sifu makes you feel like you are inside a classic Hong Kong action movie, like a Donnie Yen or Jackie Chan film. I recommend this game with all my heart. The only thing to keep in mind is that the difficulty can be a bit too much for some players. Next we have Ninja Gaiden 4. This game will really appeal to fans of games like Devil May Cry and Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance. The levels are mostly straight and simple, but there are some side paths you can explore, and the game is packed with fast and exciting fights. The story is not something mind-blowing, but it is interesting enough to keep you hooked and make you want to see what happens next. The combat in Ninja Gaiden 4 isn't just good, it's phenomenal. It's fast, enemies are smart and aggressive, and you have a lot of freedom in how to fight them. It looks amazing and mixes Team Ninja's smooth action with Platinum Games' over-the-top craziness. Every fight feels intense because enemies are ruthless. They grab you, block your attacks, hit you from unexpected angles, and attack in numbers. You always have to think fast, and that's what makes the combat so thrilling. The graphics look great with a dark style that fits the nighttime and serious mood of the game. The game also runs very well with good upscaling and HDR options. The music is fantastic and matches the action perfectly with strong metal tracks and vocals that pump up every battle. I really like that you can switch weapons anytime during fights, which lets you create different combos. The game also pushes you to use all your abilities so you can get higher scores and earn more upgrades. Overall, this is an awesome action game and a strong entry in the Ninja Gaiden series. It may not focus on exploration as much as Ninja Gaiden 1, but it keeps the pace fast with many memorable and intense encounters. Next, we have Devil May Cry 5. If you grew up watching early 2000s action movies like the Matrix trilogy or Blade trilogy and dreamed about playing a game that makes you feel like the hero from those films, then this game is exactly for you. This is the kind of game you should try to judge for yourself. The music is fantastic, the visuals look amazing, but the real star is the gameplay. The gameplay alone is enough to sell this game. The combat is flashy, fast, and incredibly fun, especially if you take your time to learn it properly. The graphics are stunning, and it has an amazing soundtrack. Each playable character, Dante, Nero, V, and Virgil, has their own theme song that hits hard and complements their unique personality. The music perfectly syncs with the intense battles, amplifying the adrenaline rush and making every fight feel powerful. I can promise you this, after finishing the game once, you will either feel completely satisfied or fall in love, and want to play it again on harder difficulties. The best part is you don't need to play the older games to understand the story. There's a simple recap available that explains everything you need to know. Just grab the game whenever you can, it's that good. And if you're already a DMC fan, the deluxe edition is definitely worth it. Next we have Sekiro. Sekiro feels familiar the moment it begins. You can clearly see the DNA of Dark Souls and Bloodborne in it, but at the same time it is very different. This game focuses more on stealth and fast sword combat, and even though it is still very hard, it often feels a little more forgiving. Combat is the real heart of Sekiro. Instead of simply dodging and attacking, you must master deflecting, jumping over sweeps and countering thrusts. Big red danger signs warn you of special attacks, and reacting correctly feels incredible. At first it is very hard, but once the timing clicks, fights become like intense sword dances. Even though I enjoy tough games, Sekiro gave me a stronger feeling of confidence than other From Software titles. The paths are more direct, so I rarely felt lost or afraid of losing hours of progress. After spending around 50 hours with it, fighting strange monsters, exploring huge areas, and learning its demanding combat, I finished the story with a lot of respect for what this game achieves. In the end, Sekiro is a bold evolution of the From Software formula. It mixes stealth and fast sword fighting into something unique, challenging, and deeply rewarding. It keeps the spirit of the Souls games while standing proudly on its own, and mastering its combat feels like becoming a true legendary swordsman. Finally, we wrap up this list with Doom Eternal. When ID Software revived Doom in 2016, it brought the series back to life with speed, violence, and heavy metal energy. It felt like the classic Doom from the 1990s, but with modern graphics and fresh ideas. Doom Eternal pushed that formula even further, and showed how far the franchise could go. The game makes you feel powerful, but not in a simple way. You cannot just run and shoot wildly and expect to win. Survival depends on fighting smart. You must switch between glory kills, the chainsaw, and the flamethrower to keep your health, ammo, and armor full. Each enemy needs a different approach, and many demons have weak points that you must destroy quickly. Once you learn the flow, Doom Eternal becomes beautiful chaos. Good aim alone is not enough. You have to plan every move, always thinking one step ahead. Every second, you are looking for the next target, deciding which weapon to use, and staying on the move so the demons cannot trap you. The campaign lasts around 16 hours, especially if you hunt for secrets and optional battles. The story is more serious than Doom 2016, but the real focus is on the gameplay. It can feel tough at first, yet the deep combat, fast movement, and smart level design create unforgettable moments. Even years later, Doom Eternal remains chaotic, intense, and incredibly rewarding. Once you master its rhythm, the game truly makes you feel like a legendary demon slayer. And that's a wrap on our list of action games that never give you a break. If you love fast-paced, non-stop action, these titles are perfect for you. Which one of these games do you think you could survive the longest in? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you never miss more epic gaming content. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.